I'm not used to this energy right now.
Heartbreak is one thing, my ego's another. I beg you don't embarrass me, mother trucker. I'm on the floor today because I have my jeans on and I don't want to go on my
Everything
bed. Which, by the way,
is on the ground.
Dude, what a throwback. How are you with that kind of stuff, Janice? Like,
What stuff?
Can you go on the bed with outside clothes on?
Great
Or is that straight
question.
up a sin?
I don't like to go on the bed with my outside clothes.
Yes, and that is the only answer.
Yeah. But actually, that was one of the very first fights that David and I had when we got married.
Oh.
When we started living together in SF, he was on the bed with his outside clothes, and I was like, dude, that's gross. 나오라고. And he got mad at me because...
Oh, I remember this. Yeah.
Yeah, because he was like, dude, you're the dirty one. Why are you accusing me of being dirty? You're the dirty one. Oh? 그렇다고.
Yeah.
And we're clean in different ways. You know, I'm very neat. I'm very tidy. That's one thing. The bed is a sacred place. You get in there after you shower, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And then I might not shower every day. But that means I won't wash my hair every day. I will wash my body, but not my hair. But David thinks that's gross. He thinks I should wash my hair every single day. Isn't that such a hard thing for a girl to do? Would you agree?
It's because he's a dude. He doesn't understand. Dudes can shower twice a day, you know?
Yeah.
But girls, it is a journey getting in the shower, getting out, drying our hair, doing our skincare. You know what I mean? We just need at least a day or two of a buffer.
Why don't you introduce us for the first time?
I don't even know what you say. What do you say? Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Honey Jam. We are your hosts. I'm Jessica.
I'm Janice.
This is our last episode, our 10th episode of our first season. And we're going to have a little bit of a break. I don't know how long. Janice says it's going to be 1 week.
I get to decide.
She's my boss, and she says 1 week. And a lot of our listeners have requested not to go on break.
Oh.
But I feel like we need a little bit of a break just to gather our thoughts and kind of prepare for the next season.
Yeah.
But we're excited because this is going to be a good episode, guys, as always, and we just want to thank you again for tuning in.
That's right. And honestly, the only reason we're taking a break is because next week is our last week. Me and David, our last week in Mammoth. So I took some days off. And Tuesday is usually Wednesday we usually record. And on Wednesday next week, I'm going to be in the mountains. So that's the only reason why there's a break. Honestly, if I was not in the mountains, there would be no break. We're just getting right into season 2. We would just go
straight into season 2?
Yes, ma'am. I work just to the bone. Podcast.
Honestly, guys, there's literally nothing I do except just contribute in conversation on this podcast. Everything that you see online, everything that you hear, it's all Janice's magic and it's all her doing. So, please, I don't think Janice minds the hate comments or the feedback as much because she's just the boss and this is just her life. But give her an encouragement, guys, that you've been listening and that you appreciate her editing and all the reels.
Sometimes I don't even look at the comments and Jess will text me. She's like, Janice, did you see the hate comment on her reel? I'm like, no. Why? And I look at it. I'm like, whatever. Just, it's fine. It's fine. I don't even care. And I comment back. I attack back, right? And then later I think about it. I'm like, that's not nice.
A little tear coming out of your the recent hate comment that we got and I noticed was it was about our ick episode, which was the last one, right? Two episodes ago. We talked about how sometimes it's an ick when specifically dudes who don't regularly dance are really into dancing,
not professional dancers.
Yeah, even just it's okay if you dance and have fun. That's Janice dances. I dance
to dance,
but it's there's a difference between having fun dancing versus like you're trying to look cool and, you know what I mean, impress the people around you, like poppin' dancing, you know? So that's kind of like what we brought up, that's sometimes an ick for us personally.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, there were a lot of hate comments on that specific reel. And they're saying, dude, let people live a little. You guys are an ick for saying that. And like, I hate people who say like and unnecessarily. And I was just like, if you are not watching or are watching, my forehead vein gets so intense. Like, this is something I cannot control. And it's so funny because whenever I'm stressed, whenever I'm excited, whenever my emotions are just kind of heightened, it comes up on my forehead vein.
What does Joanne call it?
Joanne, shout out Joanne. We've given her a lot of shout outs.
Shout
out Cara. I haven't given Cara a shout out. She called you a hoe for editing her shout out.
Shout out to all of Jess's neighborhood unnies.
All right. Joanne calls it the penis vein. The penis vein on our foreheads. Because so Joanne has a pretty like gnarly vein too on her forehead. But like anytime, like even on my wedding photos, Janice, I don't know if you've seen them.
I never noticed.
I was very stressed that day, right? Understandably. And I mean, I uploaded all the ones where it doesn't like show it too clearly.
Yeah.
But if you see like the close-ups of like where me and Josh are like kissing and like foreheads touching and stuff, like my forehead veins, I have like 2 that go like this.
So I think last week there were 3.
I mean, you always see it because you're editing our videos, but you can see those like 3 veins. It just pops out whenever I'm like excited or you know just feeling stuff. And then what's crazy is like even when we play like Mafia or Avalon, like any of those games where we have to like lie, and you just have to like put your game face on.
Yeah,
forehead penis veins give it away.
That's your lie detector.
Beep, 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 beep. Oh, it's coming out. It's coming out. It's coming out, guys.
I also do want to mention something. For our new listeners, I just want to say you might have seen our reels go around, and we had a few viral ones. But I just wanted to make it clear here and now, our podcast is not a Korean drama or K-pop podcast.
Hey, who said that? Who said that?
I mean, listen, we love K-pop, we love K-drama, we talk about God a lot, our faith a lot, but we're not just about all of that, we talk about everything. And, we just want to take this moment to shout out the Living Room podcast. Our friends, D Shin and D Chun.
They made a comeback and they gave us a shout out.
Several shout outs,
but also a diss because they said that we're just like a K-drama podcast. Excuse me. If you guys have been following us since the beginning, okay, we did talk about Pyeongguk and Lovely Runner a lot, we admit. But that was maybe like 20% of it, okay?
Yeah.
So, I mean, your jealousy fuels us. That's all I'm going to say.
We gonna keep going.
Just kidding. I'm really glad they're back, and I feel like they were trying to like have like new corners and like, make it a little bit more interesting. It was really good. Dichan and Shim are just so naturally funny.
We love the Living Room pod. All right, 내가 봤을 때 they don't actually listen to our podcast. They only see the reels, and the reels that I make are of the Korean drama, K-pop stuff. Yeah, listen to the episode, man.
I don't know how Shim has time. I mean, I don't know what Chun is up to either, but like I see Shim regularly. And I don't know how he has the time to do 2 podcasts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he does Living Room Pod and he does Shim and Shin. And he's the college director of our church. Like,
wow.
Where does he find the time to do that? I don't understand, man.
Yeah. Well, shout out to our friends. Check out the Living Room Pod if you haven't. And Shim and Shin podcast. They're our friends too. Rivals and friends.
They were saying we're like Drake and Kendrick.
Oh, yeah.
We're obviously Kendrick, right?
Let's go. Jess, this is our 10th episode, which is... Oh, my dad's calling me. Hold on.
Okay.
Can I pick this up real quick?
Yes, you can. For our listeners, if you guys do not know Janice's dad, he is literally the coolest man on this earth.
Aww.
And I would, like, a handful of Janice's friends would kind of crush over Janice's dad, including me. He's like super tall, he's buff, he's good looking, and he's like an Olympian of wakeboarding.
Maybe like 5 years ago. My dad is old now. He has a huge beer belly.
You guys have to see a video of Janice's dad wakeboarding, because it's like, wait, what? He is a father of 2 grown daughters. Insane.
Okay, well, yeah, it was Father's Day and everyone was posting about their dad. So I was like, I should appreciate my dad too. And then I was looking through my photos and we don't really have like many photos from recent times. So I was like, I'm going to give him a shout out. A good, I'm gonna show off my dad a little bit. So I posted a video of him from 5 years ago in the lake, wake surfing, doing what he loves.
That was very sweet of you.
In high school, there was a specific friend, my friend Sally from like church. She like legit had a crush on him. She was like, she couldn't talk in front of him, and it made me so uncomfortable. And my dad like. king 받는 게 my dad would look at her like she's a fan. Like 되게 귀여워하셨어.
Like a celebrity. Like, oh,
yeah.
감사해요.
yeah. 귀엽네. 약간 이렇게.
I remember you telling me that in college, and then because you were like that to my brother, I mean, I always thought your dad was super 멋있어, but I would like do that like more on purpose just to make you uncomfortable. Tomorrow is Juneteenth. Are you working, Janice?
No, I have tomorrow off.
Josh has it off too, but our 이모님 is still coming, so she's gonna care for Hui.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just booked 2 tickets for Inside Out 2.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna love it. I watched it with Jeong and Paul when they came.
Oh, you did? Oh my gosh. Wait, how?
There's a movie theater here. Very small. Very very rundown old movie theater, but we watched it with just like the whole theater was filled with kids. But surprisingly, they were very quiet, so I enjoyed the movie very much.
Oh, I heard, yeah, it's super deep, and like all the reels I've been seeing about it, like all the adults are crying after the movie.
Yeah.
Do you think I'll cry, Janice?
100%. You're gonna cry 100%. For those of you who don't know, Jess, did we talk about this? Jess and our friend Danielle, who will be a guest in the future, are the biggest criers that you'll ever meet. I mean, I think it's a strength. They empathize and sympathize very well. Jess is the type is like, if she sees someone else like tear up a little bit, that's when that's her cue too. She starts welling up too.
I really do not like that about myself.
Why?
And there are so many times I like swallow back my tears because it's just like, it makes people uncomfortable when you're tearing up, They just don't know how to act when you're crying for something like so small. So I'm really trying to kind of like reel back my emotions a little bit. And it's surprising because Janice and I are so similar, but Janice doesn't cry. She doesn't cry that often. And you would think she would. And she sometimes does. Like, whenever she does, she wails. Like, she cries hard. But it's like rare. Like, she's surprisingly like pretty like thick-skinned.
I think I do cry a lot. It's just compared to you and Danielle. It seems like I don't cry that much.
I just remember the one drama, like I always like tear up a little, or like, a tears rolling down my cheeks for most dramas. But the one drama that made me literally like bawl was Our Blues. And I told Janice about it. And there's just like one specific scene. It's like a father-son scene where they're kind of like reconciling, and it's like a really beautiful scene. I have never ever in my life like wailed to a scene like that. Janice has a really funny reel where she is like crying and wailing, and David heard her, so he goes down and records from like a corner. And then Janice's dad is like, 전화 왜 그래? 왜 그래? And she's like, 들어나 본다고.
For our non-Korean speakers, my dad was calling my name because he didn't know I was watching a drama. He kept calling my name. I'm like, clearly I'm busy. I'm watching something here. But I didn't want to like, I was in the moment. I'm not gonna, so I was just crying, bawling my eyes out. And my dad's like, Janice, like, what's wrong? I'm like, I'm watching a drama.
Like, I'm watching a drama. So funny. I love that video.
All right, Jess, it's episode 10. I can't believe we're here.
I feel like we said that like.
Okay, this is leading to my next question. Okay.
Okay.
This is a question from our friend Sarah. What did you guys learn / gain from doing this podcast so far?
You want to start, Janice?
I learned that there's power in talking about the trending things and making them into real.
Isn't this supposed to be like a deep, thoughtful question?
Yeah, this is a very tea answer. I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I think it's a good way to, keep our memories. I think one day we'll be able to like just listen back onto the old episodes and just like laugh at how stupid we are.
Yeah.
So I think it's teaching me that, even though it's like sometimes it's a lot of work editing, I think it's worth it in the end. I'm still having a lot of fun with it after when we hear like compliments and stuff like that. It feels just very rewarding.
Yeah.
And it has definitely been like a passion project of ours. Season 2, baby. We have lots of guests, lots of funny stories coming up. Dumbfounded saw my reel, my shout out to him, and he
That's
didn't
crazy.
invite us yet,
but he saw it and he liked it, right?
He saw it. He did. So, one day we're going to go on. I don't know what the hell we're going to talk about when we go on his podcast, but we're going to do it.
There are 2 things I learned. First, I guess this is something I already knew, but just Janice's worth ethic and her dedication to this podcast.
My
and
tenacity.
Just your tenacity and your passion and
tenacity.
Your, I don't know, like your drive, like,
oh wow,
there were weeks where I'm like, dude, I think it's okay if we rest. But Janice, without fail, hey, Jess, you ready? 8:30 p.m. Let's go. And she would.
What did you gain from this podcast, though?
I learned that you are a very hardworking friend, and I gained a hardworking friend. Second thing that I gained and learned from this podcast, I always fear that if I speak out or I share my experiences, it's going to be such an isolated event. But I think I gained through our listeners' feedback the power of sharing and how much people can relate to our stories. Their feedback in like different parts of our podcast where I expect, don't expect them to feel that moved or, be entertained or laugh or cry or, you know what I mean? Like our listeners reach out and they say like, oh, I love this part. I related so hard to this. I found that so funny. I think I just learned that like, wow, our stories are so relatable and people enjoy just hearing us talk and tuning in so that they can find a little bit of themselves in us too,
Wow.
Yeah.
Well said. This is clearly Jessica is the well-spoken host in this podcast. Like,
they're going to say ho, well-spoken ho.
well-spoken ho. But actually, it's funny that you mentioned that, Jess, because Jess texts me about the last episode, the previous episode. If you haven't listened, we talk about some raunchy movies and books that we've read. And Jess messaged me, she's like, was the last episode? I feel like it was a little too unhinged, Janice. I feel self-conscious. I was like, Jess, it's fine. We're having fun.
I just, I get a little shy and I second guess myself. But actually, I was like talking to other ajumas outside and I was like, ajumas love yahan talk. Like it's a part of our DNA.
If there is judgment, those people are the ones who want it most, all right? Switching gears here, what do we want to talk about? Do we want to keep talking about like this being like our final episode of this season, or just randomly like talk about like 연애남매,
아니 몇 번을 말해 that this is our final episode.
I'm a sentimental person. If there's a big milestone, I'm a linger on that.
Oh wow.
This is completely unrelated to what we're talking about, but I was watching 연애남매. Sibling romance. I don't think it's a very popular show anymore because literally the episodes are now 3 hours long. But we could give a quick summary about our thoughts. I'm just so hung up on this because I literally was watching this episode before our call. But in this show, there's clearly one popular guy, right, named Yongwoo. And he's like a very, well-mannered, man, like very handsome, tall, and like he loves his little sister who's like 10 years younger. He's like the perfect man, and everyone kind of like fell in love with him.
Mhm.
Even me, I followed him on Instagram right away, you know? And I was like, this guy is perfect. First of all, like, why is he even single? Like, how did they
Yeah.
cast someone so amazing? Fast forward 15 episodes. I just finished it. This guy, there is clearly a reason why he's single. Okay, I don't even know. You have to explain it, Jess.
Okay, just to give you guys a premise of what this show is.
Uh-huh.
It's a reality TV show. It's called My Siblings Romance. In Korean, it's 연애 남매, right? And it's basically following several siblings. So a brother and a sister. And they have to hide each other's relationships. So people don't know who's each other's siblings. And they gather in one house while looking for romance, for someone to basically date, right? And they're all like super handsome, super pretty. And it's interesting because like you get to see the dynamics between the siblings and like they share their background of like what kind of family they're from. And then you also get to see they're just like different relationships that you have to consider because they're brothers and sisters. This guy named Yongwoo, like he started off super strong and he just like was really into this girl named Chua. And then he just kind of like all of a sudden got bored. Maybe like 2 episodes before the show ended, he like jumped ship to another girl. And while that girl was getting along really well with another guy that we were all rooting for, right? And they just, I mean, spoiler alert, guys, they ended up together. Yongwoo was successful in tempting this girl. And I don't know, Janice and I were like, we're shocked because you didn't see the last episode, huh, Janice?
I don't even care. I don't mean, know what's gonna happen. And the worst part is, like, he knows he has that power over all the girls. I mean, obviously they're in a dating show, so he can switch to a different girls whenever he wants. But still, like, he was dedicated to one girl, and all of a sudden, it's just so clear that he just got bored of her.
Yeah. I mean,
and then
to be fair to Yongwoo, Chua was pretty boring.
Yeah, that's true.
She was pretty boring, but it's just weird because he like led her on the entire show, and then he just kind of like abandoned her. He's one of those guys who thinks he's 아까워. He's too good for people. Josh researched into this. He said Yongwoo used to be engaged, and then he broke off the engagement. Yeah, Korean netizens found this piece of information where Yongwoo was engaged. Oh, he used to be Mr. Like he went out on Mr. Universe or something too.
What?
So he went out on a pageant and he used to be engaged to somebody, but he broke it off.
That's crazy. So I don't know. I was very disappointed. I went and I unfollowed him on Instagram because I just felt like, dude, this guy is so shady.
You have to watch until the end because there's a really...
I don't even want to. It pisses me off.
But you have to watch it because there's a specific scene where basically Jiwon, and that is Janice's Korean name, by the way, everybody. Hajiwon. Jiwon in the show, she's the one that Yongwoo like basically switches over to. She was doing well with this guy named Jeong. And he's like super quirky, super lovable. And I was kind of rooting for Jiwon and Jeong. But then she decides to go with Yongwoo. And what's even crazier is Yongwoo's little sister likes Jeong.
Wait, can you say that? Organize that again. It's so confusing.
Okay, so Yongwoo has a little sister named Juyeon. It's one-sided. She likes Jeong, who used to be lovers with Jiwon, but Jiwon is now with Yongwoo.
Yeah, all the siblings are connected to each other.
Yes. So there's a scene where basically, like in the last episode, again, spoiler alert, they reject the person by like talking to them. It's like their final conversation. And then they get together with their lover, their final pick, by giving them a hug. Yeah. The guy 고백s to them. They confess to them over text. And then if you accept, you run over and hug them. That's the final like decision. And so basically like the people who are rejected get to have like a final conversation with the person they chose, right? And then after Jeong has his final conversation with Juyeon, Yongwoo's little sister, there's just a scene where after the conversation, he's like lingering. His 표정, he's just like, it's like starting to tear up and he's like crying. The panel says like, I think it's because like he knows how she feels. like being rejected.
Oh.
And like that scene is crazy because they're all just normal people like us. I mean, they're beautiful people,
Yeah.
but they're very normal, right? And it's not a drama, it's a reality TV show. So this is all happening like for reals. That scene where he's like just kind of like pondering and like tearing up and just at the balcony like looking out into the abyss. It straight up looks like a scene from a drama because he also kind of looks like Gong Yoo too. And it's like weird because he just rejected a girl, right? And he has like all these mixed feelings.
He himself rejected a girl, but he also got rejected.
Yes. And this girl happens to be the little sister of a guy who his crush picked. So it's just like,
wow.
I'm sure like in his mind, it's
that is crazy.
Like, where am I? And like, what did I just go through kind of thing, you know?
Watching 용호 너무 꼴보기 싫어. It's like everything he says out of his mouth, it seems so insincere and fake. And he just wants to be on everyone's good side. You know, even though he's such a bad boy, like he's like crushing girls' hearts left and right. And and then the girl the girl he rejects, he says like, you're such a good person.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose a good person, like this good relationship. And she's like, I don't think we can be friends. Like there's no way. Cause she got rejected. She's like hurt. So Yongwoo was a very popular guy, right? When the show first started. I was talking to Danielle. I was like, Danielle, do you watch this show? And she said she had to stop herself because she knew she would fall in love with Yongwoo.
Wow.
And so she didn't watch it. She stopped watching it. I don't really understand that logic.
Danielle does that all the time. She said that about Byung-seok and Lovely Runner, and then she ends up like not liking them because there's too much hype around them.
But you know who also is like that? Haeyoung is like that too. She like resisted, and it's so interesting because I thought like this is such a unique way of thinking. But like Haeyoung and Danielle, our two friends, they think the same exact way. It's like, for example, like Haeyoung resisted Lovely Runner because she said she knew she would fall in love with it, like she would be obsessed with it. And I'm like, dude, if you know something's gonna be good, why don't you just indulge? What's the issue?
I kind of relate to that sentiment though of like preventing yourself from investing in something too much. You give yourself too much like emotionally and like you invest a lot of time, and it's just it's sometimes a little draining to do that. So I could see why they would refrain from doing that. Whereas I feel like Janice, like you have a lot of energy to do that, you know? And then you don't get it. I mean, there are times where you get deep into it, but I feel like you enjoy that too. Like that ride of, you know, kind of getting into something.
But it's funny because Danielle's like, no, I don't want to get into it because I know I'm going to fall in love. And instead she watches a drama from last year and falls in love with an actor that no one cares about at the moment. I'm like, what's the difference, Danielle?
And it's so funny because she's like, please start the drama. Please share this love with me. And we're just like, dude, can you just freaking watch Lovely Runner?
So I put up a quick last minute question. What's your guilty pleasure?
Can I share what Janice's guilty pleasure was? Her guilty pleasure was reading a blog of someone from our college class who she was slightly annoyed by.
You can say the name. Why don't you say there's no way he's gonna listen to this podcast.
Shout out Kevin Suh. Janice's guilty pleasure was reading his blogs.
Yeah, because back in the day in college, blogging was a thing. What was it, Blogspot? We all had a blog. I think what happened was I would go through the list of like people's blogs and just read it and have fun with it. But one day I saw Kevin, he wrote about me. So Kevin and we didn't start on the right foot in the beginning of college. Like freshman year, we were pretty annoyed of each other. This happens a lot to me, actually. A lot of guys were annoyed of me and like didn't like me for that reason. And then when I heard that, I didn't like them back because they didn't like me. And it was like, this happened to Josh too. Josh like thought I was annoying and I was like, okay, well, I don't like you either. But that happened to Kevin. And then later we ended up being good friends, went to the same church and stuff like that. So like on his blog post, he would like make fun of like my outfits and stuff, like as a joke, like, oh, Janice's outfit was like, I forgot what the exact wording was, but it was for fun. It was like, oh, you know, her outfit was kind of like Ajuma-esque today or something like that. Just like like a side joke. And I think because of that, I'm like, okay, I'm going to see if he keeps talking about me or something. That was definitely my guilty pleasure. Like just keeping up with his blog. And it wasn't just Kevin Suh's blog, but I think it's because he wrote so often. Like I had to like make sure I was up to date.
Yeah. You know what? One thing that we didn't really talk about, Janice, which I feel like is kind of juicy.
What?
Our senior year, we had like a huge falling out with like one of our roommates, our friends. And
oh shoot.
That is like a really intense story because I, for one, roomed with her and I trusted her. And we just found out that she was kind of like talking badly behind our backs. And she was a very interesting person. And I'm sure maybe she had her reasons, but at the end of the day, she did wrong, right? She was acting immature and she talked badly. And we did wrong by kind of confronting her and ganging up on her. So we basically got all the roommates and like apartment mates together and we just kind of attacked her. Our mentality then was, okay, let's just like bring it up and try to reconcile. But it was so dumb because all we were doing was, hey, let's get together, let's gang up on her and let's confront her about all the crap she's been talking about. Yeah. And that was really wrong of us because I'm sure she felt kind of like cornered and ganged up on. The reason why I bring this up is because my guilty pleasure was reading her blogs after our fight. Because she wrote about us and I would like read every post, like waiting for her to like talk about us.
Did she know that you were reading her blog post?
You know what? I don't know. I don't know, but maybe. It's crazy because we used to be really close to her.
You guys started to room together when I was studying abroad in Korea with Danielle.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I didn't even know who she really was. But when I came back from my study abroad, Jess was like super close with her. And I was like, okay, like a new friend. We like her. To be honest, like I felt like I kind of had to try because, you know, I was kind of like the new one coming back to school from Korea. Yeah. And so I was trying to form that friendship. But I could tell Jess really liked her and trusted her. So I was like, okay, I'm going to try to get close to her too. And then 확 친해졌어. Like I got close to her like, suddenly because I was trying my best. And then as soon as I felt like I was getting close to her, it happened in one day where like she was gone and then she FaceTimed me and Jess was in the room too. And I was like, okay, bye. I was so happy. I was like, okay, bye. See you after break. And I hung up on the phone and then Jess was like, why are you like so buddy with her all of a sudden or something like that, right? And then I realized, oh, actually there's a little bit of tension.
And actually after that call, like I started crying because I had like so many pent up things with her. And I was like, dude, like Janice, this is actually how I feel about her. And then when she was like back home, we were all still in the apartment because like that one weekend, like we just didn't go home. And then our other apartment mates came and they're like, what's going on? And that's when we like started talking about like my woes with her. And they're like, dude, that's crazy because, you know, she like says these things about you. And I was like, what? I was like, dude, she says these things about you guys. And we just like all like found out that she was talking behind our backs, like to all of us. It was a chilling moment when we found out. Like, oh my gosh. Like it's very middle school, high school drama vibes, but it was regardless, like still very surprising and chilling because we all trusted her at one point, you know?
Yeah. So I think her intention was she wanted to be friends with all of us. She wanted to be close with all of us, but she kind of used the wrong approach by like, maybe not like outright mean, you know, maybe it sounded a lot meaner because we were talking to each other about it. Some of it was kind of messed up, right?
Yeah.
So it was funny because she was super nice to me, but apparently behind my back, she told, was it Esther or you? That I'm stupid. When I heard that, 솔직히, 난 기분이 안 나빴어. I just cracked up because I'm like, you know what? I'll take it. It's fine. I could be stupid.
So she was part of my cast when I directed KCN. And I would specifically share with her like, oh, I'm struggling because I feel like all the cast members and especially the girls, you guys are getting so close. And like, honestly, like it makes me so happy. But then as the director, I feel a lot of like pressure and like, I feel there's like I'm on an island. So even though like I want to like hang out with you guys and like get closer to you guys, I'm always kind of doing my own thing. So it's hard to do that. And it feels lonely as like a director. And I was just sharing that. Like so stupid, but I share that because that was like genuinely my struggle, like my senior year. And then she told our other apartment mate that I would like be mean to the girls or something and I would like 왕따 시켜 them. What's 왕따 in English? Like ostracize them. Yeah, I would ostracize girls and then like be cliquey with girls. And I was like, I'm so confused why she would say that because I kind of shared like the very opposite thing that I feel ostracized and that I'm lonely. Like why would she share something that's outright a lie, you know? When I heard that, I felt so betrayed because I trusted this girl. And again, we have our faults too. We took the wrong
Yes.
approach of just kind of going aggressively at her when we could have been more gracious. But
Yeah.
that night when we decided to like, okay, let's go at this, like let's have a talk, she was kind of like denying these accusations, and we're
Yeah.
like, what do you mean? We have proof right here. You said this and that. Why did you say this, huh? And we're kind of like being aggressive. And then I just remember like looking over to Janice. I was like, Janice, do you have anything to say? Janice said nothing, nada, during this entire conversation. She was just being a little
Dude.
puppy off to the side, like shivering from fear.
I was just staring at the ground. Me? No. I'm just listening. I'm just here for whatever you guys are saying. I'm good. And I just think it's so funny that like as seniors, we were like, yeah, what's the best way where we can like, approach her like nicely, but also firmly get together with her? 5 against 1. I think that's a great idea.
We're so wise. So even after, it's really interesting, Janice. Do you remember? We just kind of like wrapped it up and we're like, okay, like let's just say sorry to each other, okay? Like let's forget about this.
Yeah.
Bygones are bygones. And then this roommate, she has like a really unique personality. But after that, she like came up to me and she was like, I hope we can be close again. Do you think we can be close again, Jess?
Oh.
And she was like trying to, like, she was being like overly happy and like overly kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. Like she was just like trying to make amends too fast. And I was being honest with her. I was like, hey, I really appreciate your sentiment, but I'm honestly kind of hurt. So like, of course, yeah, I hope we can be close again like we were, but our relationship has changed a little bit and I hope we can repair it like slowly. I don't think I can be like as close as we were before. I think she was hurt by that because she honestly thought like, oh, we made amends, like we said sorry, we reconciled, okay, we're good now. But it wasn't like that.
Yeah.
And like you could tell like the punigi, the atmosphere in our apartment, it like shifted. It was very different. And it quickly became, even though we quote unquote reconciled, she slowly started ostracizing herself. And like maybe we did too. Maybe like 우리도 모르게 we started just keeping our distance from her. And then what's crazy is before our fight, we already set up our grad pics, like taking grad pics together. So all of our graduation pictures are with this ex-roommate of ours. Even before our lease ended, she left. She took all her stuff and then she left. And it was like so bad to the point where like we didn't say bye to her. And then Spake was like, hey guys, Spake being the mature one out of all of us. It's like, hey guys, like she's leaving. Can we all like say bye to her? And we're like, okay. And we're like dragging our feet. We're like, bye, like saying our like most like soulless our byes. And then she just ignored us and left.
Wow, you have good memory.
It was such a traumatizing time because the tension was so thick in our apartment. And the betrayal was so real. I think like the things that she said about you is like very superficial. But for me, like I spent months with this girl, like getting close to her and sharing like my deepest, darkest like fears and secrets. And you know what I mean? Like I shared a lot with her and to be betrayed like that, I think it was like so scarring. And it was one of like my first experiences kind of like having a falling out. Because I've never had that kind of experience. Sorry, I talk too much. This is all to say, like, friendships change. There are people, a variety of people. I think the best we can do is to be kind, to be gracious, and just do our best to understand that we're all from different backgrounds. And looking back, I'm like, she must have had her reasons. We were all immature. And I hope one day, because she is a sister in Christ, that we can reconcile, maybe in heaven. But I'm at a place where I have forgiven her. It's all, in the past. And I truly hope that she is doing well and flourishing. She's doing well. We got some stuff in our mailbag, right? That you uploaded?
Yes, we did. So just for funsies, I put up a question. What are your guilty pleasures? My sister, Yundor, says, squeezing the blackheads on my nose. So painful.
Ooh, that's a great one.
That's a painful pleasure.
That reminds me, I really like ASMR.
Oh.
And that's kind of creepy, I know, but that is one of my guilty pleasures, ASMR.
That's funny, actually. I ran into an ASMR video on TikTok yesterday. Dude, some people go all out. There's like a
Yeah.
spaceship version. It's like so random. Like you're in the future and you're getting into your Uber. Like that kind of ASMR.
People get really creative. Like yesterday night, I was like right before I slept, I was watching someone. She was basically like dressed up as a tooth fairy, and then she's like looking into a mouth and taking like gummy like candies
I saw
out of
that.
the tooth, and then like eating it. It's just so creative and random and like amazing. Like the things that these ASMR people do.
And you want to see it until the end. Actually, I just thought of another one. Another one is do you know who Nara Smith is on TikTok? She's like a really huge TikToker now. She married this model named Lucky Blue Smith. So random, but she got very popular because she like makes everything out of scratch, whether it be like toothpaste, cough drops.
What?
Every time I get a video, I have to finish the video because I want to see the end product. And she has like such a soothing voice. And it's so interesting how she like creates all these things. And like she has like a perfect life, like perfect house. She's like rich. Andaru says Honey Jam podcast is his guilty pleasure.
Why is it your guilty pleasure? Why can't it just be a pleasurable podcast to listen to? 그게 기분 나쁜데?
Shout out Andrew for dissing us.
Andrew has been like, I feel like unknowingly dissing us.
You know what it is? Andrew is a host for the Shim and Shin podcast. I think he feels a bit of rivalry towards us as well. Just like the Living Room Pod. Okay, Sarah Yang says anime.
That one word speaks volumes.
In that same realm, Patty says webtoons.
Oh, interesting. Why is that your guilty? I guess guilty pleasure, it's like, it could be like, what is a guilty pleasure? It's like you feel guilty for indulging in it.
It's like something you're not proud of. Yeah, bish mish. Michelle says Hyunwoo is her guilty pleasure. Definitely. I could relate to that.
Hyunwoo is the uniter of all of our ideal styles. There are friends who do not have similar tastes at all in men, but Korean people were saying like Hyunwoo unites all women in Korea in who they like what kind of man they like.
Except Sarah Yang, she hates him. D Shim from the Shim and Shin podcast, his guilty pleasure is Honey Jam Pod.
Friends? 끼리끼리 노네 진짜. Again, why is it your guilty pleasure? Listen to us proudly.
Share the love. Esther Nam. 오랜만에 Esther Nam. Bunny Nam. This 언니, I remember actually when we were freshmen, we went to KCM, our club, our Christian club, and I met Esther Nam for the first. She was like one of the first people I met in the club, and I just remember like I thought she was so pretty. I like told her, I was like, oh, "You're so pretty," and she was so shy. She was like, "Me? I'm pretty?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think you're really pretty."
Oh, that's such a sweet thing to say, like on your part, and like such a sweet response.
She was like questioning me. She's like, "You think I'm pretty?" I'm like, "Yeah." She kind of looks like Suji, 약간 Suji vibe, like 토끼상.
I haven't seen her in forever, and I remember like when Josh and I got married, she was buying something off of me, like clothes, and then she gave us like money for our wedding.
That's
and I was
right.
like, oh. And she was getting married, I think on the same day as us.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I don't have anything for you, Esther. And she's like, it's okay. Like, I just wanted to congratulate you guys. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're an angel. Shout out Esther Nam and her husband.
Her guilty pleasure is having the whole tub of my daughter's ice cream for myself after putting her to sleep.
Love it. I could totally relate to that. My specific ice cream choice, Haagen-Dazs, raspberry, white chocolate, truffle. Which was 강추d by Janice.
It can easily finish a pint of that ice cream. It's so good.
So good.
Next one, her name is Tiny Illy Girl. Tiny Illy Girl. I don't think we know her personally, but she says binging a whole series of like a show a week before exams. The thrill makes the series extra enjoyable. Lol.
Wow, really? I can't relate to that because man, I'd be so stressed. I won't be able to focus on the drama or show because I'd be too stressed.
Danielle loves to do that.
That's that's a gutsy move right there, man.
I remember like back in college, EXO used to be very popular, like 으르렁, growl. And our friend Spake, she used to be 진짜 EXO 덕후. She loved EXO.
Yeah.
And it's funny because she's such a studious, hardworking person. Back in college, she would like study really hard and then she would reward herself by watching one music video as a break. Isn't that freaking incredible?
The discipline. Spake is so smart. She was valedictorian at her high school. And she is one of the smartest girls I know. Her younger sister, shout out Sophia Peck. She is also a doctor who graduated recently, and she's gonna be an intern, a resident. Amazing. The Peck sisters, they're so smart. And I actually have a really funny story about Spake that I always share to people because I think it's like one of the funniest stories ever. It's up there definitely with Juan, J as in Juan, but
okay.
Spake said she was in a lecture, right, at a lecture, and she was sitting like in the way front because, you know, that's our girl. She's very dedicated and studious, and she's gonna put herself in the front to take notes. And she ended up kind of like falling asleep because she was so tired while taking notes, and she was like slumped on her chair. And then she got scissor lock, kawi, which is basically like when you can't move, but you're like kind of like half conscious, half asleep, and you're like aware of like where you're at and your surroundings, but at the same time, like you can't control your body. And she was literally like in a taking notes position, like in the front of the class, and she couldn't move because she had scissor lock, and she was just like, and she's trying to get out of it.
In the front of the class?
In the front of the class. And like she could hear the professor talking, and she's like, oh my God, I gotta take notes. And like she can't get up. She's like, ugh! She got out of it.
Wow.
And all she could do is just take notes again. We love you, Spake.
We miss you, Spake. Preet says not responding to texts. I am the type of person who I can't see like a number on my mailbox or my text message. I have to remove that like one on the katok. You know, whereas like people like Danielle, shout out Danielle again, she literally she sent us a screenshot of her phone today and she has 800 something messages unread.
Holy moly. I was laughing because literally yesterday, Janice like sent me a string of text messages. And Janice always messages me when I'm like doing something with Hui, where I'm like, I just can't respond right away. And for me, like I'm usually like a good responder, and I'm like you, I'm very similar to you in that I have to always get rid of the notifications. And maybe that's why I'm a bad like replier, because I read it and I'm like, okay, I'll get to it when I have time, and then like I'll respond to it, but then I end up like kind of forgetting about it because the notification button is not there anymore. Janice was just like, you know, sharing her reflections. She was asking me questions. She was making comments, and she was sending me a series of text messages and having a whole conversation by herself and waiting for my response, but I just couldn't get to it. And then what's funny is I'm very active on Instagram. So whenever someone sends me content, like I watch it and I respond to it. Like I send an emoji, like I react to the video. Yeah, immediately. And then Janice texts me while I'm responding to the Instagram reels. She's like, hello, Jess, are you getting my text messages?
I'm like, oh, she must not be getting my text messages because I'm like spilling my heart out over here.
Like clearly that is the reason. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I get it. I mean, I think I do text you at the wrong time. You're a freaking mom. You're taking care of a toddler that's just running around the house. I don't expect you to text me right away. But when I'm sending you stupid memes and you respond to those, that's what I'm like.
Hold on a second. There is a discrepancy here.
Exactly. Danielle says her guilty pleasure is sappy EDM. Like, I still hear your voice. I still feel your touch in my dreams. Shall we get into our Kangchu corner, Jess? I have a very strong Kangchu.
Okay, good. You share yours.
There is this show that I was like obsessed with on YouTube, and the 4th season just came out. It's called Hunting Girl. Hunting Girl. There's this comedian, and she's really funny. She's like, I think she's like 2 years older than us, but she's like so good with like meeting people and like just being very natural and like making people feel really comfortable. And she's hilarious. But now she has her own show where she goes around in public in Korea, just like the streets or like a school, like a neighborhood, and her role is like Cupid. She's trying to matchmake like 2 random people. It's so fun because 1, it's in Korea, and Korea is like, you know, the vibe is so fun out there. And 2, these people, they're so cute. A lot of them are, you know, like college students or like maybe older, but they want love, and they fully trust her to match them with somebody that they want. It's fun seeing her trying to find the perfect match for people. And it's interesting to see so many different types of people like on the streets. And then it's so interesting to see the actual date happening, and you get like butterflies, and it's like 너무 설레 because you feel like, you know, you're watching them go on their first blind date.
Yeah.
And so I highly recommend Hunting Girl on YouTube. It's so much fun. And in the new season, it takes place in college campuses. So there are some episodes about 연세 and like 고대. Yeah, and so it's very like, you know, the young love vibe.
I don't know which season this was, but it was when she was in Busan. And it's cool because you get to see like the nightlife in Busan and like how people party and, you know, what kind of people live in Busan. And it's just so like, it just gives you butterflies because like it's awkward, but at the same time, like you could tell that there's a little bit of like tension and, you know, like flirting going on. And she's like reacting to it and watching their date too. And she's like honestly like genuinely rooting for these people because she like matchmade them, you know? And she's super funny, like really talented. So it's definitely worth watching. That reminds me of like the shows Solo, 나는 Solo. There's like another TV show, and it's like a reality TV dating show in Korea, and it's a really popular one. And what's crazy about this one is, sorry to just kind of like
no, I love it.
Move topics, Janice, but I guess this is also my 강추 too. 나는 Solo is really fun. I haven't been up to date with it, but they are super quick with the seasons. Like once the season is over, they like come out with a second season with like a new topic, like 돌싱 or like you know 모태솔로 or like I don't know, like college, you know, students, you know. But this show is really interesting because most dating shows, like even the one that you recommended, Janice, on the YouTube show, they try to pick really like beautiful, kind of like special people to come out on the show, right? Because it's like eye candy. Like you get to see like, oh wow, like these beautiful, talented people are like trying to like find love. But then 나는 Solo, they're like straight up like sometimes 아저씨s, 아줌마, just like really normal people that you would see in your daily lives who are single. Because of that reason, it's like super raw and like really interesting and awkward, and you just want to cover your eyes, but you can't stop watching, you know? So I recommend watching 나는 Solo too.
That's definitely my parents' guilty pleasure. That's their show where they watch that and bond. It's like their favorite show of all time. I guess just this concludes episode 10, season 1.
Wow, we did it, Janice.
We're going to have a lot of fun guests. And, you know, don't forget about us. We'll be back in no time. So continue to give us some views on the reels. Follow us on Instagram at honeyjampod. And we'll see you in season 2.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.